Making a game fun from the very start is very important. When I look back at my previous games, one of the mistakes I've made with them is this. But in my upcoming game, the format has been shifted to this. The story introduction is pushed forward so that the player can warm up to the game before they are required to care about the game. I've even added optional content in between here so that the player can go through a lot more gameplay before even reaching the first game dialogue. The reason this format is important is because in today's market, there are a lot of people who just buy video games and don't play them. Even though you make your money from these players, you are losing in the long run. If players don't play your game, they are not going to tell others about your game. Also, the process of telling others to play a game can be done both intentionally or unintentionally. The longer and more often players play your game, the better. So, making your game fun from the very start is super important, because the last thing you want is for your players to start your game, play it for 20 minutes and then give up and play something else. The second thing I did in order to make my game fun from the very start, compared to my other games, is weapon variation. In my previous games, the player unlocked multiple abilities and weapons throughout the course of the game. In my new game, same thing applies, but I'm also adding a whole set of bonus weapons that can be obtained right from the start of the game. And the player can unlock these pretty much at any order they want. This adds gameplay variation right at the start of the game so that the player doesn't have to play the game for hours just to get to the fun part. And this inspires me, the dev, to make the later parts of the game even more fun. Now I want to talk about the empty room concept, or at least that's what I call it. Place your player character inside a relatively empty room with almost no content, and then see if you can spend at least 30 minutes having fun while using different game mechanics despite not having much content to interact with. A good example of this is Super Mario 64. From the moment the game starts until the moment you jump into the first painting, you can play around the castle for at least 30 minutes, after you spend 30 minutes playing around with his face. And then you remember that there is an actual game to play. If you can pull off a game that is fun to play without content, imagine what you can do with content. There are many other things I've done in my new game that has made it objectively better. Smoother movement and weapon variation that allows the player to approach enemies using different playstyles is only some of them. But don't take my word for it, play it for yourself. I've thrown every bit of game dev knowledge I know into this game, and the demo might teach you a thing or two. I know you have a backlog of thousands of games to play, but I'm sure you can make room for a demo, so give it a shot. Thank you for watching, see you soon.